for, it would be very disturbing. And therefore, we don't participate in it, but we know that it has been in our custom outside of of America before we came here as chattel slaves. And I like to say chattel slave because that's what we are. We're human property. And therefore, we are not talking about slavery, because nowhere in the Torah it talks about slavery. It talks about, in other words, the punishment of slavery. It says for the violence. We talk about the inhuman treatment that was given us because of our enslavement in America to become chattel slaves. So the woman was treated with the great utmost respect, giving the total comfort that is to be given her, because the woman is truly, a nation comes through the woman. And when a woman is ill-treated, she becomes bitter, and that which comes from her is bitter. But at the same time, when she's treated fairly and uprightly, it's better that a woman treats herself bad than that the men or the society treats her bad. Because you can't do nothing when you afflict yourself. See, but we as men and as people have to realize to be very kind, not only to ourselves, but to our women, to our children, and therefore we bring about another type of fruit. Because that's what we all are. We are trees bringing about fruit. And the people are the fruit. And we can see that evidently when we look out in the world, that for some reason the women have been and the men very angry with each other, because the kids and the people that govern this planet is evil. They're not very nice. But we come from each other. So we have to bear the responsibility that it is by some misunderstanding on both our parts that we have not come to an agreement to have offspring that would be agreeable and progressive in righteousness. But the thing is that this is cultivated in the womb of the woman, and it's passed. This thing is passed from the man to the woman. And if the woman doesn't feel the best about having this seed in her, so many things happen. And the men and the society that he lives, believe me, is not only, we don't grow as a people just because we live in a cubicle in an apartment. We grow in a community. And if the community is being attacked, so is the family and the women and the children and the men. There's no harmony in treatment. And therefore, we must, if we don't return, then every fruit that we bear will be the bitter fruit. Our children will be rebellious. We'll have an uprise of homosexual, lesbians, and then the society will promote this. And therefore, it is a renegade or rebellious society. It will not last but so long. So it says that copulation, and both bathe themselves. It says, the woman also with whom man shall lie with, seed of copulation, they shall both bathe themselves in water and be unclean until the evening. And if a woman has an issue, and her issue in her flesh be blood, she shall be put away 7 days. And whosoever touches her shall be unclean until the evening. And everything that she lied upon in her separation shall be unclean. Everything also that she set it upon shall be unclean. See, that's why nations of different customs can't live together. You understand? Because you go into a nation where it is acceptable for these things not to be put in place as your nation, then the women and the men, they don't know these things, so they do it. And therefore, it's very important that a people live in a vicinity that they can exercise their law under their customs. And we don't live in a place. You go here and tell these people to do this. What do you think I am? I ain't nasty. I I ain't this, I do this. And that's not what it's saying. It is the order of things. And therefore the order of things to be carried out brings about, and it nourishes the people to become strong. And whosoever touches her bed shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the evening. And whatsoever touches anything that she set upon shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the evening. And if it be on her bed or on anything whereon she set it, when he touches it, he shall be unclean until the evening. And if any man lies with her at all, and her flower be upon him, he shall be unclean 7 days, and all the bed whereon he lieth shall be unclean. And if a woman has an issue, or her blood many days out of the time of her separation, or if it runs beyond the time of her separation, all the days of the issue of her uncleanness shall be as the day of her separation. In other words, if she's supposed to have it for 7 days, but she have it for 9, or even more on that still corresponds to her separation. She shall be unclean. Every bed whereon she lieth, all the days of her issue shall be unclean unto her as the bed of her separation, and whatsoever she sitteth upon shall be unclean as the uncleanliness of her separation. See, the law is to vitalize. It is to strengthen us. This is the beautiful part of the law. You understand? It doesn't, once a man becomes, or he feels that he is more superior than the woman he's bearing fruit with, he brings about a discourse. But when he sees that that woman holds a place of such value, and he exercises himself to honor that, it vitalizes, strengthens. It brings about the strength of both parties, because the love of a woman, man is strength, but woman is more strength. The love of a woman, that's why it says a man shall what? Leave his father's house, but cleaves to his wife. It didn't say the wife will cleave to him, it said that. So that woman is so important. It was never Abraham. Abraham never took a second wife. It was his wife, because she could not bear a child. She offered so that there would be seed to her. You understand? Abraham never volunteered for that. And Hagar didn't become his concubine. It says he became his wife. So I'm saying to you is that we have to understand that the Torah is never to debase. It's always to uplift and strengthen and bring about the very best from both. Never think that Yahweh God is putting one over the other. He's making both work together, having different positions so we can work out the best. A woman can't do what a man can do. And for her to think she can, her very structure of her body, a man's structure of his body can't do what a woman does. But at the same time, in each of our positions, we hold creation, and therefore we're able to create. And that's the beautiful thing. And you want to be gentle to yourself so you can be gentle to your woman. And when you can be gentle to your family and your woman, you can go out into the community and see the discourse because of ill treatment, ill-mannered children. You understand what I'm saying? But this comes from how we relate to each other. You understand? You can't tell me that a woman that's a lesbian says she loves herself, she hates herself. A man that's a homosexual can never tell me he know himself. He's in total conflict. You understand? Therefore, the society that execute laws to bring about such an abominable act can't tell me that they understand law. Nobody said that you can't stop them from doing it, but you don't tell them or give them a license of approval. You understand? Because Yahweh God knows That is the leaders that cause the people to err. And the leaders' jobs are to administrate. And you can't administrate telling people to do that. Such wrong as that. The next thing they'll be doing is trying to pass a law that it's all right to have sex with animals. You know? I mean, this is something they're hiding in the closet, like they hid homosexual in the closet. Lesbianism in the closet. Now it's coming out. We want to get married. How could you marry before God? You marry before the devil. There's no right in that. God never said. He said, be fruitful and multiply. There's no multiplication with animals, having sex with animals, having sex with men. When Paul wrote his epistles to the Romans, he was saying that it was a act of such darkness that it could not be approved by God because it was an act of unnatural affection, lust. You know, it wasn't to bring about any harmony. It was to bring about disharmony. You understand? So let us understand that these laws is not talking of the woman debase. It's lifting and energizing the whole system of a reality that the woman is to have her space and time for relaxation. That she doesn't continue to perform the same act day in and day out. It was to give the very customs and society that we live, to make the man responsible for the woman, to make the woman responsible for the man, to make the society responsible for itself. Responsibility, the Torah talks of responsibility. This way, if a man has an issue, he tells them he goes away so he doesn't contaminate. It was all about responsibility. That everybody played a role. And therefore, Yahweh God was always on their mind. What you think the Shabbat is about? It's a persistency of doing something continuously so that you will be what? Totally conscious of it. If you believe in yourself, you're wasting your time. You have to believe and know that there's a God, because you who you are, you ain't make the sun. You ain't make this air. You ain't make this earth. You ain't make this food. You can't manifest one loaf of bread before you. So when you put things in its proper place and you bring Yahweh God in your life, now you got it all. Because Yahweh God is all. Whether you live or die, the day you came in, the earth never shook. The day you leave, it ain't going to do no more. Your purpose in the earth is a personal thing. For you to enjoy your life. And while you enjoying your life and learning the mandates that governs the principles by which laws, rules, and regulations are in place, you help and energize the lives of everybody else. When we're sitting here praying, we're energizing, we're strengthening the weak. We're praying in our home, and when we walk out into the earth, we are energizing as we walk through our community, because the Spirit of Yahweh God is in us to do that, to heal, to bring about the harmony that's been put into disharmony by laws, by people saying, I don't see no wrong in me having an affair with another woman. Yeah, I don't see no wrong with another man jumping in my behind. I mean, that's why I say, how could you lean on your own understanding? You don't need no law to tell somebody not to have sex with an animal. Come on. So you mean you don't even have a law to tell a man not to have a physical contact with another man? The very organ he's going into never lubricates itself. It's not natural. As a matter of fact, it stinks. So the point is that we must understand that things are just so apparent. But Yahweh God wrote a law So not only that we would have to just sit down and think for ourselves, he said, do not do this. That's why he said, cause not your daughters to become whores, lest the land falls to whoredom, and it brings about confusion. He said, this, if you do this act, it's going to bring down this results. If you do these things, then you bring about and cultivate and re-energize the woman that is so important to bring about the best and healthy nation of people that you want her to do. She has to be happy. If a woman ain't happy, it ain't gonna work out. You understand? She must be put and understand she's loved and totally appreciated. So when we read these laws are laws of responsibility on both parts, not just the woman, not just the man, the whole community, the whole nation. And I love this about Yahweh. When he wrote a law, he made everybody responsible. You can sit there and point your finger if you want to, but you're responsible to keep the commandments of Yahweh. You're responsible to learn these things, and you're responsible to carry it out. And you're responsible, if it's possible, to live close to it if you can. You don't live in a society that promotes this. But we struggle to bring these things into existence. We struggle and we ask Yahweh what we want to do so we can execute it perfectly and to the best of our ability. If you have one bathroom, everybody uses it. But Yahweh understands. He sees that we are making an effort. And that effort gives us the right to receive other things that might be put in place so that we can execute it perfectly. This is what I want to say to you, that Yahweh God is with us. And it says, but if she be unclean of her issue, then she shall number to herself 7 days, and after that she shall be clean. See? And on the 8th day she shall take unto her two turtles or 2 young pigeons, and bring them unto the priest, to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall offer the one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering, and the priest shall make an atonement for her before Yahweh for the issue of her uncleanness. Thus shall ye separate the children of Israel from their uncleanness, that they die not in their uncleanness, when they defile my tabernacle that is among them. See, the tabernacle was among them. And therefore, Yahweh being perfect, if you had a wooden hand, like I could not be a priest, because I have a blemish. If you had like a hand, smoking hand, or you was a shrimp, you could not be a priest. Even if you had to be a Levi to be a priest. But if you was a Levi, you had any of these things. And Yahweh was among us. And therefore, as the spirit is perfect, the spirit wants the outer, the flesh, to be perfect. When they defile my sanctuary, that is among them. This is the Torah of them, of him that has an issue, and of him whose seed goeth from him, and is defiled therewith, and of her that is sick of her flowers, and of him that has an issue, of the men and of the woman, and of him that lieth with her that is unclean. So we have read the part by which it tells us what we should do. So we must realize that the tabernacle was among, and Yahweh was bringing about a perfect people, having a perfect relationship. And the Spirit, if you go and read it, that even when the Spirit came to the children of Israel, it said, come not to your wives in 3 days. And therefore, all of these things help us to relate to the Spirit. The Spirit is talking to us. The Spirit is making such sense to us so that we might be able to live. We are children or people of the Spirit. And that's why Yahweh came down. What did he say to Jacob? He says, thou hast power with God and man and has prevailed. Why? Because the Spirit, Yahweh never said he went some far place away from us. He came down, he said, build me a sanctuary. I want to stay with y'all. That's an honor. We didn't beg him. He volunteered. Like, hey, let me go down there and stay with them. I mean, we should love Yahweh God for all of the things. I mean, you have to understand this is God. You don't have to do anything for you. You can't make him. Anything he does for you, you should be overly grateful. That means he took his time and he found it worthy to come and deal with you. That's a great thing. Because Yahweh don't owe you nothing. Once you was born into the earth, that's it. And all you look, and he's been fair. You have to be fair with yourself. To keep the commandments of Yahweh God. To serve him. You are the children of Israel. Even if you wasn't an Israelite, and the Bible was given to you to serve the commandments. And we can serve, we serve it because it is a total commitment to our very life's energy. We must. We have no choice. We have a covenant. We have an agreement. And Yahweh expects us, as he has carried out his part of the bargain, we must carry out ours. We must pray to have total obedience in the commandments of Yahweh. This is very, very important. Yahweh expects this of us, and we must expect it of ourselves. And therefore, I just want to encourage the very best. These laws, I'm trying to tell you, these things that we read today, you read it with a bunch of women, you're going to get in a lot of situations. But to the more intelligent woman, when it's explained correctly, and understand that, they give the woman in the Bible a real position that is not a position of authority. But the woman holds a high position of authority. You understand? She ain't playing in the background. The woman plays in the right up front. She's a front player, and we have to let her know that she stands side by side. You understand? You don't want to have a woman that is in disagreement with you. She has no value for you. You want a woman that knows her position and know that you care about her and that you have her well-being totally. You respect her position and her well-being. Nobody wants to be taken advantage of. Under no circumstance. And this is why the world is in the situation it is. This is why you got women and men that are lonely and women that are lonely. Nobody trusts each other, because they don't understand the roles that they must play for their own betterment. A lot of people are very disturbed, mentally disturbed, because of ill treatment. So, this is important. You got to talk about it. It took time for it to unravel itself. It'll take to do a perfect knot. It'll take its time to tie it correctly and put it back together so that everybody can feel good about themselves. It's very important. So let us pray. Shama'a,
Shama'a,
Shallah,
Shallah,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Allah
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Yahweh, Akada,
Yagadallah,
Yagadallah,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Yagadallah,
Yagadallah,
Allah La'a, Naha,
Latista Yakwa,
Kaya, Shamasha, Magana, Yahweh, Allah Khanaha, Malaka, Yahweh, Sabayaba, Layura, Yawa, Latisma, Erwaka, Alahayama, Ashura, Isayuwa, Haladaya, Wachasada, Wahataya, Yatisra, Samawaka, Yatisra, Shalawama, Ya, Waka, Bata, Waka, Bata, Hawa, Bayahawa, Ataya, Ata, Kaya, Bayaha, Yahawaha, Tiswawa, Apwalayana, Kaya, La'a, Nakasha, Bayakaba, Wala'a, Wasama, Bayashawa, Allah. Yahawaha, Allahayama, Yahawaha, Allahayama, Yahawaha, Allahayama, May Yahweh continue to bless us and keep us. May the Spirit of our God be ever with us. Amen.